All right, we're back. We are COMP308. That's Emerging Technologies in the winter 2017 semester at Centennial, and we're week 11, part 1 of our broadcast. We're talking about code reviews, right, and what those are, and how do we do them properly. So I would direct you to GitHub. Let's take a look at GitHub for a second, right? On GitHub, and if we look at our site, which is Centennial, right? You have a bunch of, I don't know why it's so big, but we'll kind of go into there. We have a bunch of different repos, right? And wouldn't it be nice if we had the ability for us to do code reviews on our repositories? First of all, does anyone know what a linter is? Anybody? A linter, yes. Okay, so what's a linter? It checks your syntax. It also checks your style, right? That's what it is. So think about a lint. For people who don't know what that is, think about a lint brush, right? So here you have a lint brush. It looks like this. Here's a lint brush, right? You have lint, little pieces of like cloth, sometimes from the dryer. When you dry your clothes, it looks really ugly when it's on your clothes, and you want to take it off. So you use a lint brush, and you take off the lint, right? The same idea when it comes to ugly code, right? You want to use a linter to remove or skim through your ugly code to kind of say, hey, you know, your style isn't correct, or you missed something here, or whatever. Okay, so now there's some integrations we can use, right? So if I look at, from an integrations perspective, if I go to integrations, right? And if I look at, and again, this is for GitHub, you notice that there's an integration called Code Factor, right? You can add that into GitHub, and I've already done that. So here's Code Factor. And when you log in, what it'll do is it'll take a look at your code quality, right, for your for different repos. We're going to talk about this. It'll code them from A to D or whatever, even to F, right? Now, for us to start today, what we need to do to make this example happen is I want to pull up our example from last week, and there's quite a few problems with this one still, right? Again, we're going to work on this continuously overall. Next week, we're going to start finally with microservices. I swear. I just wanted to make sure that we're clear on the stuff that we're going to do with Firebase today. And there is still one bug with Firebase that we're going to work out by next week. And I'll talk about how this all works in a bit. All right, so we're starting off with lesson. That's not what I wanted. 10B. I'm just making it. I'm just duplicating 10B. Lesson A is 11A is what we did for the team in the class in the morning, and we're going to do again 11B for this afternoon. Okay, here's 11B. And like we normally do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and drop it into our Visual Studio Code. At the same time, what we're going to do is I'm going to open this up in Terminal, and we're going to remove our folder. There we go, from 11B. And I want to modify a couple things here. So bower.json is going to say 11B instead of 11. We're also going to do mean crud 3. We're going to finish some stuff of this, and Firebase 2. Really, it's more Firebase 2, right? That we're going to be working with. If I have more time, we'll do more of the mean crud stuff today. Again, remember that using the use of Angular is a bonus. It's not required for your final project. So if it's tough for you, and it's definitely tough, right? That's why I talked about it being a bonus. Don't do it, right? It's only for you to do if you're really confident. You can look up the API documentation and work with it. But using Express is totally fine for the final project, right? So you don't have to go and do more than what we're doing right now. So this is 11B. Microservices, we're going to be talking about next week. Think about microservices. If I was going to do a really, really high-level overview of them, think about what we're building right here. We're building a monolithic application, one big application with lots of little functionality. So think about microservices as only the bare minimum components to the application. Example, log in and log out, right? That might be a microservice, the ability for you to log in and log out, like security, right? Usually microservices only do one thing, right? So for example, a calculation, like they can do, almost think about them as one method that you're sharing up online, and that's all they do. So why would you want to do that instead of what we're doing, right? With a monolithic application, like a big one that has lots of little services inside, right? Well, and we're talking about this in a lot more detail next week, right? Well, the reason for this is because imagine scalability. If I want to scale up, right, and I want to add another email service, right, or another one, or another one, or other kinds of things, I can just call that same microservice again, right? But if I want to scale up and I want to give more functionality to my application, right, usually what I have to do is vertically scale up. I can actually produce another server. So instead of having a single server, I'd have to have two servers with the same application in different sites to kind of produce an availability. Here, I only have to produce availability where I need to with microservices. Okay, so again, we're going to talk about this in more detail next week, and we're also going to have a live example that we're going to be working with. Do you have to use microservices for your final project? No, right? Again, this is emerging technologies, right? So I'm showing you components you can integrate if it makes sense for you, but you don't have to. So for the remainder of the semester, I'm just going to be showing you stuff that you may or may not want to use in your final project. Your final project is already set, so that's not going to change, right? But I'm going to show you tools that can help you build your final project out. All right, so we've kind of set this up now. I'm ready to do a kind of a commit. So git add dot, or git init first of all. Sorry, git add dot, git commit -m initial commit. There we go. And now I'm going to tie it into an application, kind of a repository here online. So if I was going to go to here and I want to do a new repository, and we'll say COMP308 winter 2017 lesson 11 oops B, right? There's 11B. I need these last two pieces here, and we're just going to paste them in. Okay, cool. So we've got 11B, and you know what? I want to do a review, a code review. So how do I start? Well, if I look at this dashboard that I get for Code Factor, and by the way, Code Factor is only one tool that you could use to do this kind of work. Think about your review. You get together with your boss, and once a quarter, he gets together and says, "Hey, Jonathan, show me your work." Right? Let's take a look at your let's take a look at your code, right? As an example, right? Show me what you're going to do, Matthew. Show me your code. I want to see what you're how you're doing. And he's going to look at it, and if he's a senior developer himself, he's going to be able to sit there and go, you know what? This needs to change. I think this can be tightened up. Your style doesn't really match our coding house's style, and so on. He could do that by hand, but there's tools to help him with that, and Code Factor is just one of them because it does it automatically. Let me show you. So let's suppose I want to add, and by the way, you can please try this out yourself. So integrate this with your GitHub. You can do this for free, right? And if I click Add Repository, I should be able to see any of my repos that are attached to my name. So example, this last one I just added in, 11B. I'm just going to add this one in, right? And just going to scroll down here and import from GitHub. What this does is it analyzes your site, right? It analyzes your GitHub repo. So let's take a look. I've got 11B is this one right here. Now it's giving me a B+. It's wrong. Let me show you why it's wrong. Because it's also including clients, scripts, lib, font awesome. Should I be rated on font awesome? Is font awesome mine, or is it an external library? Well, that's why we put them all in one library, libs, the libs folder, right? So I don't want to include libs, right? Anything that's inside that libs folder should not be included in my rating. It should not be included in my review, like when I look at my code, right? So I want to exclude that. So if I click on this thing, right, I can actually ignore the file by clicking this little I, right? So if I ignore the file, it's gone. And if I go to my settings, and if I go to my ignored files, right, you can see that I have client scripts, lib, and then whatever it was, the file, right? You can list each individual file here, but to make it even better, you can just go into that folder. So signify the folder. Here's the folder, list the folder, and then star star. What this means is everything in that folder will be ignored, right? If I click Save Changes, right, suddenly I go from a B plus to something a lot, maybe I got some other issues, right? So this is my 11B, right? So if I look at 11B, I'm now at a D, right? Why am I at a D? This is something we have to work together to figure out. Notice the hotspots. Hotspots are certain files that CodeFactor has identified as having issues, right? Now, just like a linter, there's two types of linters out there that we should be familiar with. One is JSLint, right? JSLint is basically, by the way, Java has a linter, C# has a linter. Most modern languages have linters to help you with style and coding. So you can include JSLint as part of your Visual Studio Code, right? So if I actually looked at extensions, and if I added them in, so if I said, kind of JSLint, oops, wrong one. If I looked at here and said JSLint, right? If I looked at it, you can integrate that into VS Code if you want to. And for TypeScript, there's also TSLint, right, which you can also include in your Visual Studio Code. I'm not including them. There's a reason why. They can be rather annoying, right? Because they'll tell you every possible issue, and you have to set the rules up for the linter. Each linter has to be set up with specific rules. And by the way, notice that tslint.json is already included here. And here's an example of some of the rules, right? So example would be curly braces are true, end of line, are true. There's a bunch of different options you can set on for a linter. For example, no debugger is true, no duplicate keys are true, and it checks through the linter to figure out if you're meeting the requirements, right? So this gives you kind of advanced notice that something's wrong with your files from a style perspective or something that you missed. It's another check for us, okay? So a linter is the first line of defense. But a code review software, like the one we're using, especially the one online, right, this one, it gives us the same idea, right? So here's some hotspots. And it's indicating that my server controllers users.js, right, is an issue. Well, where does that live? That lives here. So server controllers users.js. This file that we made, right? This is an issue, it says. Okay. Why is it an issue? So let's click on it. And if you notice, it says that Firebase is assigned a value but never used, right? Okay. Are we ever going to need to use Firebase DB in this file? Yes, I will need to use it, right? So what I could do is I could ignore this rule because I know I'm going to need to use this one. It's giving me saying, hey, you've kind of identified a variable that you're not using. Why are you doing that? That's bad form. That's memory leak, right? So we're going to just ignore this one. Notice I can ignore this issue as well as ignore all similar issues. Cool. Next. Next is defined but never used. Request, response, and next. Next is kind of we are ignoring it. We don't need this in this particular case, right? So what should I be doing? I should be able to go through here and remove it, right? Remove next from our files. I've included it in my method signature, but I never use it. It's never used, right? So I include it as a parameter, but I'm not using it anywhere in my code. So why would I include it, right? Okay, cool. Well, what I can do is, because this CodeFactor is integrated with GitHub, I can mark it as an issue directly. So if I mark it as an issue, there it is. It creates an issue itself, right? Now, for people anyone not know what issues are on GitHub, I'm going to explain it in a second. So here's my issue. I'm going to create it. And if I go back to GitHub, and if I look at the top here, you can see now that I have one issue. It says fix. Next is defined but never used. Issue in server controller users. That's where it is, right? Notice it says number 1 open just now by me, right? Well, issues are a great way of tracking things like bugs, new features. For people who've seen this before, you know what I'm talking about already. But for people who haven't seen it with GitHub, GitHub has a ton of features that you can actually use. And most of the time, we ignore them. We don't use GitHub features. All we do is put it up on, on GitHub as backup or for version control. But GitHub has all these other things you can do with it. For example, for project tracking and issue tracking. Okay, cool. So I want to categorize this issue because I'm going to have lots of them. And I want to categorize as something I need to refactor, right? So in my labels, under labels, I can create a new label, right? So if I go to issues, labels, I can see that these are my default labels that I have on GitHub. I can add a new label, and I'm going to call this, need to refactor. I need to refactor. Create my label, right? Here's my need to refactor label, right? And you can filter by the label type. Actually, you know what? Let's go back. And again, what I can do with labels, so if I click on labels, right, I can edit it, and I want to definitely change the color to yellow, right? Because I like that color better for need to refactor. Okay. So all it is a label. Now I want to assign it to my issue. So here's my issue, and then I can just choose the label that I want, and now it's assigned. And it looks a little nicer, right? So there's my issue. We know we need to refactor it, all right? I also can assign milestones on GitHub, right? So here's GitHub and milestones. I can create a milestone. We're going to create this, we're going to call it the refactor milestone, refactoring. Say create milestones. So here's my refactoring milestone. Well, guess what? I have one issue, and I want to associate it with my milestones. I'm going to click on milestones. So click on the issue first. Click on milestones, and then I want to refactor. Okay, cool. So that means now this milestone is attached to the refactoring. This issue is attached to refactoring milestone. If I look at milestones, I have one open issue and 0% complete. Now I can add as many issues to this milestone as I want, right, for issue tracking. And then I can track the % complete, how many issues I have, and how do I want to complete this thing, okay? So if I go back to my code factor software, right, I can go and continuously add more. So here's my error message. Okay, I'll add that in. It says error message assigned a value but never used. Let's add that in as an issue. And then next is defined but never used. All right, I like that one. I'll add that in. User record. And notice I have complete access to GitHub here, right? Now there's some that are the same, yeah? Look at error message assigned but never used, right? Unexpected console statement. Okay, this is if I'm doing debugging. Now right now I want these console statements to be here because you know what? It gives me good debugging. I'm not ready for production. If I was going to go to production, then these would be right because I don't want to show in production any console statements, right? I want to hide those from production, right? But I'm not in production right now, so I want to ignore them. And I want to ignore this one and all similar issues. Right? Now those are gone, right? Same thing with this one. Well, this one is actually already an issue. Cool. So if I look at this file now, if I look at the file, right, you can see that I've still pegged as an F, right? And I'm only looking at this one file, but I have fewer issues, right? It also gives you some other details here for this file. One is the complexity, which is 25, whatever, right? Now, you can see that there's a lot of stuff here. 133 lines, 117 lines of code, 13 methods. So total 133 lines. That means like not just code, but comments and everything else, right? Total code. Let me just refresh this page because usually it shows me a little different. Some duplication if there's any. Churn. How many times have I updated this file, right? And lines of code per method. All kinds of little stats that you can get from this particular file. Okay, cool. And also how many issues I've ignored. I'm ignoring 4 because they don't make any sense for me. All right, how do I fix an issue? Well, first of all, let's go back to this. Go to issues. And you can see I got all these issues here, right? Well, I want to relate all of these, right, to both the need to refactor. This is issues that we need to refactor, as well as, right, I want to definitely assign all of these to the refactoring milestone. Okay? So if I did that right, then milestone now, oops, how did that work? Oh, I removed them from the refactoring milestone. Let's go back. So I'm going to go to issues, select them all, and attach them to the refactoring milestone. There we go. Okay, good. So now that I've done that, if I go to Milestones, you can see that I've got 5 open issues and 0% complete. Okay, cool. How do I fix them? Well, I need to physically go and fix the issue, right? Now I'm going to get you guys to help me out. This is an interactive class, right? So people who are working with me, I'm going to get you to do a pull request. Anyone know how to do a pull request? No one knows how to do a pull request. Good. This is going to be a learning class, all right? Let's do this together, because you're going to do this when you work with your partners coming up. That's why I'm showing you this stuff. So when you work with your partners, you know how to work with GitHub so you don't step over each other, especially if you're 2 engineers or a series of engineers working together on the project. Okay. So first of all, let's fix one of the issues. So I'm going to pick an issue to fix. So I'm going to click Issues, and you can see that I've got this error message assign a value but never used. I want to fix this one, right? I want to assign it to somebody. So I can click on this issue, and I can assign it to someone. If I have more than one person in my group, I could assign them, like me. So now I've assigned to myself. Yay, I'm doing it. Okay, so where is this thing? Well, the issue tells you very specifically where it is. Line 98 in server controllers users. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my code, right? Server controllers users, line 98. Okay, cool. Here it is. Error message is I've created it, and I talked about this last week when it comes to logging in on authentication, right? But I never use error.message. I always use error.code, right? So because of this, it's never used, I'm just going to, for now, comment it out, right? Cool. I'm going to update it, and I'm going to say something like this. I'm going to say removed error message, and this closes issue number, and then whatever the issue number is. In this case, 5, right? And actually, sometimes it's better to say closes number 5, right? Closes number 5. Watch. I'm going to click this. I'm going to go to here and press push. When it pushes to GitHub, right? And if I go here and if I refresh, take a look now. Should be closed, Batman, automatically, right? Why? Because it picked up what I did. If I refresh this page, right? And if I looked at this thing, it says code factor found an issue, and then it said, I added a commit that closed this issue 13 seconds ago, right? Closes number 5. GitHub picks up anytime you say closes and the number, it'll automatically close the issue. You don't have to say issue, just closes number and 5, and it's done in this case. Also, notice my milestone has updated, right? So if I look at my milestones now, issues, milestones, I have 20% complete. 1 out of 5 issues have been closed. So I can keep track of not just issues here, but what if I wanted to add features? So issues don't have to be just like bug tracking or refactoring work. I can actually add features in here. I can label all the features I want to add into my issues, create another milestone, call it version 0.1 as an example. That'd be the milestone name, and then actually build version 0.1 by adding features, right? Now, one of the things I don't have here, if I was going to do that, is labels for that. For example, I have an enhancement, but if I want a feature, right, I can add a new label, right? So I can say feature, right? That makes sense. Doesn't have to be this one. Maybe I want to have another color like this, and I can create my label. There's a feature. So issue tracking can be used for a lot of different things. All right. Let's add some more issues. In fact, let's add all the issues. So I'm going to go back here. So this is just for this file. There's still lots of work to be done here, right? And if I go to code factor, notice that I've gone up to C+. Just by fixing that one issue, it has impacts on other things here. Let's also check and see what my other hotspots are. Here's another one, games.js, right? And let's take a look at these. So Firebase assign a value but never used. I know that I need to use this one for games.js. I'm going to ignore it. Just this issue. Firebase admin is assigned a value but never used. I'm not going to probably need Firebase admin, so I want to track that as an issue, right? And here's something, game is defined but never used. Well, I want to track it as an issue, but I'm not sure if I can remove it. Let's see if that works, okay? Keep going. Duplicate code. Module.exports create game. I have create game not just in here, in games.js, but also in API.js, and I did this on purpose. is there a way to separate this create game method out and make it in a separate file that both API.js and game.js both access? And I'm telling you, it can be done. So definitely, I'm going to put this, mark it as an issue. Cool, cool. Duplicate code. Okay, now this, not sure if I can do much about this because I'm using Mongoose and my game model, but I'm going to track it as an issue of something that I definitely want to remove, right? Now I can add in, create the issue, but I can also add in comments for this issue. So if I click on create comments on GitHub, so duplicate code, I can actually go in here and say, this will be removed as we add in Firebase, right? Create comment. Right, so that's this is an issue. Duplicate code, update game, definitely an issue. Okay, so create issue. Cool. Let's go back. So we've done that one. You can see where we're going with this, right? And I'm going to do the rest of them. So how would I do this one? Okay, duplicate code again. Create game. It's already been tracked. But what about these ones? Firebase assign a value but never used. And this is, which file is this? This is in API.js. I'm going to definitely need Firebase in here. So again, I'm not going to mark this. I'm actually going to ignore it, right? Firebase admin, though, we can definitely put that as an issue, something to kind of delete, right? And you can see where I'm going. I'm kind of marking the ones that I can create. Game is defined but never used. We have to look at this. Not sure if I can remove it. All right. Cool. So I've kind of talked about all those. Let's talk about these two. Server app.js. App.js favicon is added in but never used as an issue, right? Next is defined but never used. You can see we have a lot of similar issues, right? White space is not allowed. Okay, this is a style issue. I'm going to ignore this one. Who cares about white space for me, right? Go back in there. Let's keep going to the last one. Here's the last hotspot that I've seen. There's a bunch of other ones. Oh, this is definitely something I don't want to ignore. I want to ignore because this is all JavaScript that's been transpiled from TypeScript, right? So I definitely don't want anything to do with these. So I'm going to ignore this one. Other issues when it comes to this one. Cool. All right. Now we're sitting at a C+ for my file. We moved from a D to a C+. And now we have work to do. Okay, let's go back to our issues. You can see now that I have 13 issues, but there's a bunch of different ones. Okay, I need people to join me because I want to assign some of these issues. So Selena, I'm going to pick you. So I know she's like, why me? Me again. What does that mean? How do you collaborate with others? Well, there's two parts. Please fork me, Selena, on GitHub, right? And what I'm going to do is in settings, I'm going to go to collaborators and teams. Inside there, I'm going to add Selena. What's your GitHub name? Selena. That one? Cool, you're added. Clinton? You're going to, oh yeah, I'm going to have to engage you too. I'm going to engage a bunch of people. Okay. This one? This one? Cool, you're added. And let's do Ali. Ali. That one? Wonderful. Eddie? I know, I'm sorry. I know I'm bugging you, man. You're quiet in the corner. And what is it? Yes? That's the one? Okay. And let's pick my favorite guy over here, right? Now I'll pick Kevin way in the back over there because you're always quiet. Kevin, it's you. What's your GitHub name? Yeah. A-B. That's him. Thank you. Okay, I think that's good. I think I want to pick Matt. Matt, do you mind? What is it? D. V-I-R-E-D. V-Y? What? V-Y-R-E-D? Jeez. Okay, cool. There we go. All right, cool. Now you're going to get an email from me when you collaborate. There's a bunch of people that have asked to collaborate with me. I'm going to assign you the work to fix this, okay? Just to help me out here. So ready? You're going to get an invitation. You got to accept. I want you to fork the repo. That's number one job. So please fork the repo, right? I'm also going to go into a lesson 11B in issues, and I'm going to start assigning everybody. So first of all, I want to track the issues, all these issues first. Now, you have access to do all this yourself, right? But because we're going to work together on this assignment, right? So these 9 issues that I'm looking at right now, I'm going to definitely label them as need to refactor, right? And they're also going to be part of milestone refactoring, right? So that's what they're going to be here. Let me just actually look at the labels again. Issues, right? And sorry, I'm going to have to add all these ones in here so that way I can add them into the milestone. So get closer to how this is going to work, right? I think that's it. And then milestone refactoring. Cool. Okay, now I'm going to start assigning them. So here we go. So I'm going to give the one that says next. So next, and we're going to say there's going to be a bunch of those. Let's say next, right? So next is defined. This one, right? Selena, you're going to do all these ones. So I'm going to say, so milestone assigned to Selena. Right, here you go. Okay, so you're the one that has them. You should see those assigned to you. Eddie, I'm going to give you favicon, the one that says, I want you to look at this one to see if you can remove it. You may not be able to remove this one, game, as well as in, I know, she's like, why me? Right, error message, this one. Okay. Bonus marks. Oh my God. What the hell, right? And this one. Hold on a second, and I'm going to sign them. Yes? What's wrong?
I can access my mail to my GitHub.
You can't what?
The mail to my GitHub.
You can't access?
Yeah.
Why? You can't access GitHub at all?
No, I can't.
So go into your profile and change your mail. Change your email. Okay, and let's assign Matt. Matt, I'm gonna get you to look at those duplicate codes, right? I'm not sure what we can do here, but I want you to look at them. Maybe make a comment around this problem, right? This duplicate code issue, right? So I'm gonna look at Matt, right? So that's you, right? And let's take a look at other people here. So now these other ones here. So fix game, fix Firebase admin, and user record. Let's see who I haven't assigned yet. I think it's Kevin, right? Or maybe Ali. Ali. Yeah. Kevin, I'll assign you something else later. All right, go ahead. So what I want you guys to do is fork the repo, right? Make a change, right, to your local repo. When you fork the repo, there's a couple of options, okay? When you go back to code, here's your options. One is you can download the zip file. Please don't do this, right? You can open up in desktop if you have your desktop app. That's okay. But the better way to do this is to clone GitHub. And the way to do that, of course, would be git space clone and then this address. Make sure it goes into a folder of its own because it'll generate a folder for you called master, okay? Now, why am I telling you to do this like this instead of downloading it? If you clone it, it'll actually give you my commits, right? If you just download, it'll give you nothing. It'll just give you the files. That's not what you need. You need to clone my commits, okay? So clone git space clone and then the address here, the URI, okay? Now, when you do that, what I want you to do is I want you to create a pull request. Now, notice I have one pull request already. Who did the pull request? Let's take a look. Okay, delete next from parameters. Closes number 1. That's nice. All right, let's take a look. Who did that? Oh, someone did it already. Oh, the guy who's watching online. Anthony, you're too fast, buddy. You're too fast. I like it. Right? He's not here, actually. He's watching remote, right? So, okay, let me take a look at this. He's made a pull request. This is awesome, right? So I want to go here. And if you notice, this is the guy that did it, right? And he actually he wants to close number one. Here it is, right? And what I want to do is I want to merge this pull request into my master branch, right? So I'm going to merge it in, confirm merge, and it's done. Now I have one less pull request, and guess what? If I go to my issues, do I see issue number 1 here? No. And automatically, if I look at milestones, you can see that I got 14% complete, 2 closed, 12 open, right? I'm tracking my issues. You guys are helping me fix it. Okay? Yes. Fix it. You figure it out yet?
Yeah. So where you said you download the zip.
Don't download the zip.
Yeah.
No, don't. So you go to code, and you go to, instead of clone or download, you click on this is the link for it, right? But what you want to do is on the command line, you go git space clone space and then the name of your commit here, of your link. All right, cool. So I've got that. How do I do a pull request, right? Well, remember what I'm going to do is if I click on pull requests, right? I want to do a new pull request. This can be done right from your fork, right? You can do a pull request. If I go new pull request, and if I compare changes, right, between my master and master, I can do my own branch, all right? That's what I'm really doing. But here, I mean, I got the exact same. I haven't forked anything, right? So you can do a pull request right from here, new pull request, which is what I want you to do, okay? So why pull requests? Why not? You have collaboration access, so why not, as an example, instead of doing a pull request, why not going in there and pull the whole repo and modify the commit and do a push, right? I would lose control, right? In this scenario that I'm giving you, I'm the director, and you guys are helping me build my repo out with very little risk to conflict. You and I can work on the same files even, right? As soon as I get the pull request, and if I agree to it, I can merge it back into my main, right? Into my master repo, master branch, okay? And that's why I'm getting you to do this way. So one director, that's the director method for using GitHub, and the rest of you are helping me, right? You have collaboration access, which means you can actually go in there as a collaborator and create issues right now, people that I give you access to, create issues. You can remove issues on your own. You can go fix them if you want. You can also assign other people issues or reassign. An example of this is, let's see how many issues are being taken care of. So I'm going to click on issues. And let's say, for example, fix game defined but never used. I assigned it to Eddie, right? And let's say, for example, this one I want to reassign to somebody else. I don't know if you're working on that one, Eddie. Fix game is defined but never used, right? Number 12. Are you working on it or no? You're working on it? Oh, you're so fast. Okay. Let's work on something else. Let's pick one from Selena, because Selena is inundated, right? Where are you? She's like, no, I just finished. Did you? Okay, sorry. How about Ali, right? User record, this one, number 4. I'm going to remove number 4 from you, okay? So I'm going to go here and reassign number 4 to somebody else. So right now it's assigned to Ali, but I'm going to give it to Kevin, right? So I'm going to say, let's say give it to Kevin. There we go. And undo from Ali. There we go. Okay, cool. So now it's you got it, Kevin. You see it? Take a look. Go to issues, and you should have it assigned to you. All right, guys, I need you guys to do, and I can't do anything unless you do a pull request. Remember. So what you do in your fork of my branch, you've got to download it, fix it, upload it back to your branch, and then do a pull request. That's how it works. Okay. And then I would receive it, and I would look at it, and if I accepted it, I would merge it back into my branch. Selena's like, why did you give me all these things? No, you don't have to make a separate branch, but if you could, if you wanted, right? Like right now I have a single branch, right? Master, but you could make your own if you really wanted to. Okay? But for you, all you have to do is just go and do your pull request, and as soon as I got my pull request, I can go and do that. Now remember, what you're going to do is close this number, blah, blah, in your request, right? And if you do that, it automatically closes the issue when I merge it back in. Okay? let's take a look and stuff and see if we can do that. Thank you, Anthony, for watching and helping out. Let's see if there's any other comments. Okay, cool. No, we're good. We're still good. All right. I have to say that the first class was faster than you guys. We did the exact same exercise, and they're all done. It's in about 10 minutes, right? Ali, almost done?
Yes.
Hey, this is something I have to say. Test your changes, right? Make sure it doesn't break anything. What does that mean? That means when you clone your stuff, when you clone everything, you have to install the whole project, right? The project needs to be installed. You need to install npm. You have to do an npm install and everything, right? That takes a little bit of time. So do that first if you haven't done it already, right? And then test to see if it doesn't break something, which means you have to run MongoDB on the back end. All that stuff has to be done because if you're the developer, that's what you have to do, right? Okay, let's see if I got any pull requests. So far, none. Meanwhile, let's take a look and see what Code Factor is telling us about this project, right? So here's our project. We're still at a C minus, right? Well, that's 11. What am I saying? We're at a, let's see, for a C11A, this 11, 11B, there we go. 11B is still at we're still at an A minus. We're getting them done, right? Slowly, slowly. We've already improved a lot, right? As we continue to upload this stuff, you can see that slowly, slowly, some of these issues are being improved. And actually, you can see that a lot of other things were touched. When one was improved, it kind of affected the others. Okay, let's take a look at yours. That's what I was hoping you were going to ask. So if I look at yours, right, and if I look at issues, right, so you're talking about, so the question is, for these ones, if I look at the first one, right, for this one, it says it found duplicate code, right, and it found duplicate code in lines 84 to 98 of games.js and 73 to 87 of API.js.
Yeah, so it's like the start of the method and then it has different.
Right, so let's take a look, 84 to 98. So if I was to go down to games.js, and if I looked at 84 to 98, here's 84, 98, this whole method, right? Up until about here, 84 to 98, this is all the same, this stuff, right? Yeah, well, all up to here, let's say, right? So this is all the same, but some of the other parts are different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you make the changes, you make the critical request.
Right. You have to upload this to your GitHub, for your fork, and then make the pull request.
Yeah, but I can't have the correlation to the issue.
It closes number and whatever the issue is. Okay, I'll come back to that. Matt, so when you do this, is it possible? What can you do to change this stuff? Is this possible? Can you change anything right now?
Slightly, but not really.
Not really. Why? Because so what you need to do is you have to go in there as a collaborator and say, can't change it right now, because you'd have to create a method or something like that, right? Which is totally possible if you wanted to create a method that does both this in games.js and in API.js, which is very similar. If you look at the, and I believe it's in create API.js is in 73 to 87. 73 to 87 is down here, right? This update game, right, for both API.js and game.js, right? Both of them are the same. Here's API, right? So I'm going to open up another screen here. So we'll go here, and you can see them side by side. So this one here is going to be game.js. You can see that the code, what it's picking up is it's identical, right? Here's identical code. So you sit there and go, well, what can I do to change this? But it's not exactly perfect. It's just perfect for these lines here, right? So can I do anything? In this case, the answer is no, right? So in the issue, you go in the issue and say, issue closed, have to wait for for migration to Firebase. For both, you would do that you could do that on GitHub if you like, right? Because we're not gonna merge anything back in. So you can say, close issue, right? And only for the ones that make sense. For this particular one issue, you close this off and say, we're migrating to Firebase. So this would be a non-issue in a second. All right, let's see if I got finally any pull requests going on. No one? Come on. All right, you're still installing. Click on pull request. Click on new pull request on the right. Did you upload everything? All right, so that means we need a short break. Let's take a short break, and we come back. I'm going to help the people with the issues, and then we'll create the request. For the other people that haven't assigned anything, take a look at the people that are next to you that have an issue that are working with them, and I'll try and include you guys, the rest of you guys, on the issue later on. So let's take a short break. We'll be right back.